of the camp that I've been overstaying and buying friends in my wine. Stay unaware just as long as I'm Gary!
I was just looking for the sports channel, Gary.
I already know that I've talked about this show before, and I was hoping that it would improve as the second season aired, but we're still seeing the same problems as last season, and some new ones. Hazbin Hotel is a show that has a lot of potential with the idea of redeeming sinners. However, there are a lot of issues that hold the show back from being great. One being the focus feels all over the place. Some characters are only briefly explored and feel shallow. The protagonist of the show is very one-note.
Redemption is possible, I really hope. Cause if it isn't, then my whole life's been a fucking joke.
And the writing is also simple with the themes that it tries to explore. We've got undeveloped main characters and then even simpler side characters. For example, what can you really say that defines, I don't know, Husk as a character? He's annoyed a lot with everyone at the hotel, a bartender, and owned by Alastor. He cares about Angel Dust, but even then that relationship doesn't feel as developed as it could be. Speaking of Husk, he's supposed to be a character that's damaged. He clearly cares about Angel Dust's opinion, and may even feel something more for him. After a failed trial to redeem Angel Dust, who ends up risking his life to save Husk, they end up getting into a fight because of this.
The shit that you volunteered me for?
Because I know how much you actually want this. You know what? Forget it. This is why I never say shit.
It's revealed later that he's really mad because he didn't want Angel Dust to risk himself for him.
I wasn't really mad. I'm just not worth saving. This here is what I'm meant for.
Again, there are some decent attempts at exploration, but ultimately fall flat when there isn't consistency and we don't really see anything else that focuses on Husk's feelings. Husk and Angel Dust later on seem to be on better terms, and because we don't really see any build-up showing his feelings of loneliness or distance with Angel Dust, episodes after this, he decides to quit the hotel. After 3 episodes, we finally focus on Husk's feelings, but again, it's just inconsistent to what we've been shown so far, so it just comes off as shallow. They also reveal that Vox, of course, was apparently hypnotizing Angel Dust the whole time as a way to get information, and maybe it would be more interesting of a twist if the show was paced better. The characters in general don't have strong dynamics to each other in the hotel by this point. There are certain additions of characters that add nothing to the story. For example, this season introduces the Speaker of God during the trial of Serpentius, and now this raises more questions. Where was this speaker during the events of last season? Why is this speaker allowing this extermination to continue? Wouldn't they have known about it? Maybe these questions will be answered, but either way, the question is still valid. Wouldn't they know that a soul could be redeemed? It just makes me question the hierarchy system of heaven even more. This character, Emily, is just heaven's version of Charlie, optimistic and believes that souls can be redeemed, even though no one else does. I'm not really sure what she adds so far. I guess being able to deliver information from heaven to Charlie, but that's about it. Charlie's character flaw should be that she's overly naive and gullible at times, but over time we should see that naivete break a little as she sees more of her harsh reality, but she's just like constantly like this, where she just believes that every soul can be redeemed. Vox even asks her if he can be redeemed, considering that not every soul can be redeemed, but she still seems to believe this. Evil can't just be forgiven, and some aren't going to want to be redeemed. I feel like this could have been a good place for Charlie to start considering that every soul might not be able to be redeemed, but she still answers yes to the question. Maybe as the show goes on we'll see more progression of this, but right now she does feel pretty stagnant as a character. Even when she's down, she usually just needs a pep talk and then she's back to being a moron. That doesn't show any sign of being more perceptive.
I thought you stood with us!
You can't work with Vox. He's an insane person.
For example, when Charlie needs to promote the hotel in good faith, she takes the destructive and sadistic Nifty to an important interview. If you're in Charlie's mind, you'd think, maybe I shouldn't take this character, who's like the worst person you could take. She's also the least developed character in the hotel. Why wouldn't the writers have a more grounded character go with her, like Husk? This would give a chance to explore Charlie and Husk's dynamic as friends, not a hyper-energetic kid-like character. The answer becomes clear as to why this character was chosen to go with Charlie, and we'll get more into that in a few minutes. This is what I mean about the writing being shallow, and it doesn't really attempt to create interesting character dynamics, or focus on character progression really. Vaggie, her girlfriend, is just there to be her emotional cheerleader. Her character is so underbaked even when they give her an interesting backstory, and she's not the only character like this. Backstories are important, but they're not the only thing that defines a character. It's not why we like a well-written character. Sure, it helps, helps, but the writers seem to think backstories are enough. This other character that worked under Adam named Lute apparently had feelings for Adam, even though we didn't really get any focus on this character at all. So why am I to care about her feelings for this other character that I don't really care about? She gets her own empowerment song and everything. Her motivation is that she doesn't think that souls can be redeemed, and that's fine as a motivation, but there's nothing about this character that's really that threatening. I just don't even care about her conflict because I feel like I know nothing about her character. Just very weak antagonists for the show. There's this other character, Cherry Bomb, that was barely on the show, but they expect me to care about her issues as well. And I get where the writers are trying to go with this, wanting her to be redeemed, and also a character that is hesitant at the idea of redemption. But quickly after a song, she decides to change her mind about the hotel and wants to stay, and we didn't get much focus on why she even wants to stay at the hotel, really, aside from a few lines here and there, maybe. Last season, we know that Serpentius sacrificed himself and got redeemed and went to heaven, and now she's realizing that she misses him, even though we barely got to see any interactions with them. Of course, they have a past that's told through a song. The show can't possibly expect me to take this relationship seriously. A short song explaining them being rivals that secretly liked being rivals to each other is not really enough. I get what the show is trying to do, showing Cherry realizing what that rivalry meant to her. However, we just haven't got enough focus on it to feel the depth of her feelings at all, so it just doesn't feel like much to invest in. Maybe if their interactions were more genuine and not just for laughs. Now the show wants me to care. It's just really immaturely developed. And Vivian is so proud of herself for the name Serpentius that she had to explain it into the script.
Oh, I get it now. That is so clever. Like a serpent. Adorable.
The motivation for the characters' decisions feel shallow, as I've mentioned before. For example, Charlie's father. He doesn't like Alastor and has a petty back and forth with him over Charlie.
I told you, I'm the host of the hotel.
I thought that was Charlie's girlfriend's job.
And you'd think it'd be for an obvious reason, like Alastor being the most powerful sinner in hell, but it's just a petty jealousy thing, so why do I even care about this? It would be more interesting if Lucifer and Alastor had a past, but I don't think that's the case. And it just makes Charlie's father look immature and weak as a character. He's supposed to be the most powerful person in hell, right? And he spends his days making ducks or whatever.
Someone has to actually help out around here,
Mr. Useless.
Can't kill them, can't do nothing with them, so I just have to ignore them.
Mr. Useless.
It's not really like he's suspicious of Alastor for a genuine reason. He's just jealous because his little girl likes Alastor more. We also learn that Alastor was enslaved to this Rosie woman who gave him powers in exchange for being enslaved to her. And now that I think about it, what does the most powerful sinner in hell even mean?
You really thought being the most powerful sinner, which you are, meant you could take on an archangel?
How would Alastor not know how powerful an archangel is? He's clearly aware of Lucifer and how powerful he is. He has someone that owns him and clearly isn't the most powerful in hell if he made a deal with someone higher for his own power. We really don't see him having an effect on the souls in hell. I mean, of course it's told to us through a backstory, a short one at that. Speaking of that, Alastor describes his time in hell as a
Fruitless crusade.
But didn't he have influence as a radio demon? He was clearly able to take down overlords.
Overlords start going missing. We're talking heavy hitters.
It'll probably be revealed what Rosie's intentions are here, but we haven't seen anything to show that she's really that more powerful than Alastor, other than just saying that she controls him. She's powerful enough to make Alastor the supposed most powerful sinner, so she's gotta be pretty powerful. Shouldn't the show give us anything to hint at what her plan is with Alastor? We've only met this character once before, and other than being a plot device for Charlie to forgive Vaggie, we have no idea what her intentions really are. She says this,
The moods you make are mine and mine alone.
which doesn't really make any sense because we saw that Alastor fought an archangel last season when she was clearly aware that he couldn't fight against one. And wouldn't she have told him that? Alastor can also do things outside of her control, clearly since other souls are also indebted to him. Then literally a line later she tells Alastor,
Looks like you'll have to do this on your own.
why is she encouraging him to do what he wants to acquire more power if she...
I say when to sit and stay, roll over or go back.
Doesn't she own him and control his every move? Wouldn't she want him to not make deals behind her back? Wouldn't she want Alastor to have his power back so he can do her bidding? Why refuse? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe someone can explain it. The motivations are unclear. I feel like the show wanted a way to limit Alastor's power and influence, but it just doesn't make sense to say he's the most powerful sinner when there's someone more powerful than him that's literally controlling everything. It's just contradicting and makes his character more confusing to me. There isn't much depth to the villains and their goals. It's just, we want power and domination, which is fine enough as a motivation, but it's also tiring, especially since the personalities of the villains are very one note. When Alastor's backstory is explained, we see that he was black when he was a human for some reason, even though he's designed like this, very ambiguously brown and no distinct black features. This line is the only thing we get that acknowledges Alastor's experience in the 1930s as a black man.
Hustling yourself and dazzling those yuppie producers, overcoming so much to be the star of your own radio show.
Which just shows Vivian's level of writing and nuance. She's not limited by a kids network, so why not go the extra mile and show how powerless Alastor felt as a black man, which is why he turned to making a deal with Rosie in the first place. At least add some depth to his motivation. It's just very simple writing. His reason for making this deal with Rosie was so that when he goes to hell, he doesn't have to be a tortured soul, but a powerful sinner, apparently. Again, not sure what that means. I just think that adding this element makes me have more questions about Alastor than anything, and things just don't really line up at points. There's a lot of telling and not showing, as I've already implied. As a result, there's just really no depth. This happens a lot during the musical segments and revealing backstories that are often short and uninteresting, feeling underbaked, and don't really add anything new to the characters. Why are all the backstories, by the way, just someone being owned by someone else in hell? Can we have some variety, please? And when we do get a backstory, it's told through narration. It can't even stand on its own. I'm also not a fan of how Vivian fetishizes race, assigning the Japanese voice actor to an anime-themed musical number. I don't like how she wanted to make Alastor brown without really even acknowledging what that meant. Every voice actor of color is tokenized, whether it's through the musical cues themselves.
You can't get all up in this. Zip out like that.
I don't have time for this lesbian drama. What is it you want?
Or there's a musical number attached to their race or ethnicity. So Vivian just looks at these voice actors and assigns them to these musical numbers just based on their voice actor's race, and not because it's symbolic for the culture.
Are you serious?
Yeah, okay.
And it really reveals her proximity to people of color.
Ay, ya no puedo con este. Ay, qué estúpido demonio que eres tú. You know I can't understand you when you speak that island language, Val.
Let's talk about more underwhelming backstories while I'm at it. We already knew, for as weak as the execution has been, that Alastor and Vox are rivals. You'd think that we get to explore what caused them to be rivals, like showing them being on good terms with each other at some point, and show their friendship in the past and what leads to them falling out. We'd also get more information on Alastor and his deeper thoughts on Vox and his old friendship with him. However, that's not what we got. We get a simple 1-minute backstory showing Vox wanting to partner up with Alastor, and Alastor rejecting him very comically.
I am quite disappointed in you.
I just thought, since we're friends.
Friends? There are no friends in hell. I thought that was something you understood.
Are we supposed to feel bad for Vox here? Because we haven't gotten any other side to his character where I should feel even the slightest bit of sympathy. And even though we get a different side to Vox, it still feels forced, just so Alastor can reject him cruelly. We don't learn anything new here about Alastor either, like we should during a backstory. Maybe he actually did trust Vox at one point, but got worried about him becoming more powerful. As simple as it is, we don't really even get that as a motivation. Velvet is a girl that likes dresses and cares about her appearance.
Tear off their wings and make them dresses.
Valentino is a sex-crazed maniac.
You can't get all up in there. Zip out like that. I thought you liked it when I...
TMI, Val.
They don't really feel threatening at all because they really only have one-note traits. Can someone explain to me what the main difference between radio and video is in hell?
The radio demons of the air.
I can't remember ever seeing power shift this fast.
It doesn't feel like there was really a distinct difference in hell when Alastor was the radio demon versus Vox being on top. The show has such fast pacing. It seems like the writers are just revealing too much at once instead of taking time to explore the world and add some nuance and depth. The show is confused in tone. It wants to be serious and comedic, and nothing is wrong with that. We see shows strike a good balance all the time with this. The jokes are weak though, and most of the time it just feels like I'm supposed to laugh because the person swears a lot or brings up sex. Remember how serious it was that Angel was beaten by Valentino in the previous season? Let's see how Vivian handles this situation when revisiting it.
When have I ever hit him? You're obsessed with me.
No, you're not imagining that. There are actual comedic sound effects behind the footage here. The queer baiting is also insane.
A few hours free, maybe we could fuck around.
It's really hard to take anything seriously when any dramatic stakes are constantly interrupted by this. Valentino and Vox are supposed to be partners. How am I supposed to care about their relationship at all when Valentino is literally an abusive pimp?
Val, we have been partners
in business, and we were just talking.
It's also very clear that Vivian loves Disney, which there's nothing wrong with that, but the imagery goes beyond being inspired and just straight up steals from Disney movies, which just feels kind of childlike. The dialogue is really bad, either being too on the nose or just being as profane as possible.
You can punish me if you want to. Oh, I love it when you spin things, you sexy TV man.
Fuck you, wink!
This other character named Seraphim, who I guess is one of the higher-ups in heaven, she says how she's ashamed of exterminating souls, and then the speaker of God just says this.
One seeks an answer, one cannot grant her.
Excuse me? You're the speaker of supposedly the all-knowing being God. How do you not know the answer to this? Has no other soul in all of history really never figured out how to redeem themselves and get into heaven until Sir Pentious? It really makes no sense. Why aren't they involved in any of heaven's decisions? And they're just letting them create more chaos. Can souls in heaven be condemned to hell for sinning? Why is the speaker just okay with the fact that archangels were doing this? Seraphim also says,
I never would have agreed to your yearly activities. I thought it would bring trouble to our doorstep.
But heaven has been committing extermination after extermination without a single threat to them.
They would send down an army, an extermination, to ensure hell could never rise against them.
Charlie has even tried to make peace. What reason could she really have to even think about stirring up more conflict, especially after seeing that a soul could be redeemed? The writers want to keep the conflict between heaven and hell going, but there isn't much complexity with the conflict to keep it going. There aren't really any huge obstacles, although heaven is supposed to be this like supremacy state.
Sinners like you are the reason I allowed for the extermination in the first place. Power-hungry and violent.
There's one big glaring issue here. The show wants a supremacist state, a genocidal state at that, and they want us to sympathize with that. The show is so worried about not villainizing the ones in heaven that they're making the ones that want to revolt the bad guys. And we also see how the show reiterates how things should be fought peacefully.
We should never go to war. Heaven doesn't want to hurt us anymore. They know that there's a better way.
I allowed for the extermination.
But here heaven is the one to instigate through extermination, which means they intended to get rid of souls, but the souls that are being tormented are expected not to fight back. And it's odd that Charlie doesn't see it that way or even come to that realization as the show goes on. Her character just wants peace and prioritizes the angels over souls in hell that are being exterminated.
I know angels aren't like the best.
I allowed for the extermination.
We shouldn't kill them. We need to be better than them, right?
Extermination.
We're just expected to side with Charlie here and her message of love can conquer all.
Anyone who finds love in hell can do anything.
We saw that Emily can portal to Charlie so she can bring Sir Pentious with them to prove that souls can be redeemed. But instead of bringing him to hell, Emily and the rest decide to go to hell with gift baskets to say sorry for committing genocide. It's literally a joke of a conflict.
No, wait, you are apologizing for genocide with gift baskets?
They have assorted taffies in them.
There's no focus on the revolution of the souls in hell, but I'm supposed to care about the supremacist state. It's like the show doesn't want to confront the fact that heaven committed these atrocities and wants to redeem them, and then after the crowd gets riled up, they just leave Charlie there. And as for Lucifer, for some reason has no idea what's going on in hell until Vaggie has to tell him. And this is the king of hell, apparently. Everything about this show just contradicts itself. After starting something with Vox, of course through another musical number, he decides to abandon his daughter after indirectly causing a riot. This is supposed to mean something because Charlie's so angry with her father, but the character is inconsistent. Last season he's fighting Adam during the extermination for his daughter, and then he decides to ditch her like this.
Oh, and I hear you got your ass kicked and ran away when Charlie needed you most.
It's a sure good thing I showed up.
I'm not here, you're dreaming.
The dream.
You got your ass kicked and ran away when Charlie needed you most.
Mr. Useless.
This all leads me to the question, why do we even care if hell is redeemed? Nothing in hell has been explored enough for me to care about the souls that are there. It's not like we see some souls in hell planning a revolution behind Charlie's back or something either to add to the conflict. We see some that want to fight back, but it's pretty surface level.
What did that angel smell like?
I thought this hotel is where we came to kill angels.
Who cares about redemption? That sounds like work.
There's also way too many musical numbers. There's at least 2 per episode, even sometimes 3. The songs just feel like they're there to have a song. Not every character needs to have a song all the time. It also matters which characters are getting musical numbers. No one cares about a song by a character that's barely been developed and reveals nothing about the character or conflict, really. Usually after developing a character more as the show goes on, having a song would feel more earned. The songs for the most part just have very little substance, they aren't memorable, don't tell us really anything new. They also shouldn't serve as resolutions to conflicts, but to add some emotional depth to existing conflict. The show is an adult show, but it just feels like it's for edgy teenagers that think swearing is the coolest thing. I don't want to dislike this show, but there's so much wrong with the way the show has carried itself so far.
All your gifts, all your powers, and you squander them for your own personal gain. Yes.
But I guess seeing how the absurdity can top itself is also fun. I want to have hope that the writing will get better, but the world building is really just not great. I don't know if they can even fix it at this point, but I guess only time will tell, right?
You two should just fuck already. What? Am I wrong? And can I film it?